Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hallmark Movie Drafts, the monthly podcast where guest panelists are all Hallmark movie enthusiasts who love to debate, rank, and create definitive top 10 lists of Hallmark movies. It's October, it's fall, y'all, and it's the perfect month for us to rank Hallmark food forward movies. What exactly does that mean? I'm not sure I even know anymore, but we're going to try to break it down. What I do know is that I'm Lynn, your host, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co host, Erin Beth. We're both sick, but we're going to get through this. We have three competitive, opinionated panelists who at least can agree on one thing, I think, Erin Beth, and that is um, they all like food.
Oh my goodness. We all love food, right? A good snack. I want to share my favorite movie snack. It's just a fave of my family. It's about some spicy pretzels, and they're so simple to make. You just take a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a teaspoon of lemon pepper, 2 teaspoons of garlic salt, a packet of ranch dressing mix, 3/4 a cup of vegetable oil, mix it in a Ziploc bag with a 16-ounce bag of pretzels. You bake it in the oven for 30 minutes at 300 degrees. And I am telling you, they tell you to let it cool. You will never let it cool. The warm pretzel is the best. I know when I shared it with Lynn that she has made some variations on it. You've really liked those, haven't you, Lynn?
Yeah, they're really fabulous. I use the Old Bay seasoning. I'm going to post your recipe on the HMD Instagram. Erin Beth, you also made some themed bevies as usual, right?
We have a pinch of Portugal, which is just a yummy port drink. And our mocktail is a taste of summer. As we leave summer behind and enter fall, it'd be great to have something for a little memory of summer. So enjoy those. They are going to be on the Instagram page.
Yeah, fabulous. All right, so back to the draft. Food forward. What does it mean? It's always hard to enforce parameters on drafts when the topic is so subjective rather than a draft that's about a specific hall star or trope. For this draft, listeners, originally the criteria was this. There was no candy, no chocolate, no wine, no cookies, no cakes, no desserts only, no bakeries, no baking or food contests. Food had to be central to the storyline. Food is an overall meal or entree, not a dessert only. At least one lead needed to be a chef or a cook and be seen cooking or working with the food in their food domain, whether that was their home, their studio, the restaurant, their truck, their boat, their diner. And the food and or the dining establishment needed to be central to the storyline plot or the key location setting. Even with that as a guideline, there's still a lot of subjectivity in it. And we and the panelists all had to chime in and try to flesh out what was what.
There was a lot of discussion about whether Hanukkah on Rye, Holiday Hotline, and Summer Villa even met the eligibility criteria, or the Curious Caterer series, gourmet detective movies. Do we really even know for sure?
All right. What we know for sure is that the food forward storyline can't be driven by baking contests or food competitions or candy. That's a no with a hard H. So movies like You're Baking Me Crazy, Love, Romance, and Chocolate, and The Sweetest Christmas aren't eligible here, but they'll be eligible in a separate baking candy cookie competition at some point, just not today. So in some of these movies, maybe the main character isn't a chef, but cooks a lot, or the storyline really focuses on the dining establishment. So, how many movies are eligible? Who knows? It could be 27, it could be 38. Whatever Kate posted on our Letterboxd at Hallmark Drafts is the list as best we know it. You can see the list on our Instagram at Hallmark Movie Drafts. But honestly, today it's like the Wild West here. Anything can happen. We have a panel today where someone self identifies as the harbinger of doom. Another person who's always up for shenanigans and is such a good friend of the show. But let's face it, his movie selections can be questionable, polarizing. They're sure to spark a conversation no matter what. And I love that. And there's a first time drafter whose idea was actually this topic for the draft. So let's get to it. They've had several months to prepare their lists of their top 10 personal favorites. They've ranked them 10th to first. They're going to battle it out. They're going to try to get as many personal favorites as possible onto the final list. Ideally, in the same position they have them ranked on their own list. They'll get 1 point for every title on their personal list that appears on that list, and a bonus point if it's in the same ranked position. So up first is someone who upended the Brennan Elliott draft, with Brennan joining the show, guys, by playing a very unexpected movie at the number one that no one saw coming. She's our harbinger of doom. Welcome back, Cece.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
I think we're hanging in there. I think the big question is, how are you doing today? With this food forward draft, are you gonna try to shake things up?
I always try to shake things up. I don't really like playing nice or trying to create a list that we necessarily all agree on, quote unquote. That's what I'm here to do, is play my list and my choices.
You watch Hallmark movies. Do you have a favorite snack that you make or
Ooh, a favorite
enjoy?
snack. I eat all kinds of things when I watch Hallmark movies. I really like the Chicago mix popcorn with the caramel popcorn mixed with the cheddar popcorn. I'm a big fan of that. But I like popcorn because I like movie theater butter popcorn. I also like the pretzel chips with like hummus. That's a good thing. I like dips. I'm like Oliver from Only Murders in the Building. I love dips. I'm a big dip girl.
Nothing wrong with a good dip. All right, well, good luck today.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next up is someone who never caves to peer pressure when it comes to ranking movies. He knows what he likes and why he likes it, and he's coming into this match with a leftover veto that he clung to with both hands in the April time travel draft, even though his friends, note the air quote, friends, Dan and Bran, were badgering him to play it. Welcome back, Brian Harold.
Thank you for having me. I'm surprised I'm still invited every time. Surprises me. I had a lot of fun watching these movies. Like, I think I realized food is my favorite trope as like in a movie. Like these, when the movie itself isn't quite working, is if there's really good food incorporated, it makes up for a lot. So I'm a lot of these movies really inch their way up my list as I rewatched, and I had a tough time sort of getting the top 10 placement. But watching these movies was a lot of fun. This is a good topic.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. First of all, I think you should automatically win because living in Greenville, South Carolina, you guys were among the thousands of folks impacted by Helene
Mm-hmm.
last week, a few days ago. I honestly thought we'd be rescheduling this draft. So you were just such a trooper, such a good friend. How are you and your family doing? How's Greenville?
We're good. My fam, we're good. Most of the people around me here are good. I am surprised. I was waiting for everyone to reach out and offer just victory to me for what I've gone through. But it really tells me a lot about your hearts and like who you are as people. So it speaks more to you than me. Yeah, we're good. We're in good shape here. The destruction is ridiculous. Like living up north for so long, you get storms and you get trees down and stuff, but the way the trees are down, like just roots and all, torn out of the ground, I've never seen it. I've never seen destruction like this. It's really crazy, and even people who have lived in this area for a long time say the same thing. So it's really it's really wild down here. But people coming, like all the little stuff, like everybody always says, is happening. Like neighbors checking in on each other, offering help, offering whatever they can do, showing up with chainsaws to clear the road so people can get through. Like all those little things are happening, which is really great to see. And it's continually like a silver lining on the whole disaster.
I think that's so beautifully said. And yet you're still not getting an extra veto or a free win. I'm sorry.
Boy, I thought for sure that would push it over the edge. This
It
is
was
going to be tough.
close.
This is going to be harder than I thought. I'm going to actually
But
have to work here.
but I do have something really lovely to say to you, and it's sincerely. I am way behind on some of the Deck the Hallmark podcast shows.
What?
I know, but someone posted a screenshot of you, Bran, and Dan all holding hands during the Real West recording. And I just wanted to say how happy that made me because back in April, there was the infamous screenshot of Dan and Bran holding hands behind your
Behind my
back
back. Yeah,
during the time travel draft recording session. So here's the screenshot that I took of that. I keep this in my wallet. I sent you
of
guys little
course.
wallet size
We
photos
have
in
it
there.
framed in the viewing room.
Good. You're
Yeah.
literally leaning forward so that they could join hands.
Yep.
What a
Making room for their
difference.
friendship. Yeah.
What a difference 5 months makes. You guys are now officially the three amigos,
Yeah.
three fast friends. Way to
I
go.
think that was the preview, the October preview, because it was
Oh, was it?
I think it was, there was a funny name that sparked that whole thing.
I'll
That
have to,
interaction.
it's in my rotation to listen. I'm just
Yeah, you'll get there.
super behind. I will get
But
there.
by the time you get to it, we'll be back to them shaking hands behind my back.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, before I move on, do you have a favorite snack? What do you munch on when you watch these movies?
Usually nothing, but my go-to, I guess, would usually popcorn and M&Ms are like a favorite snack of mine. Yeah, usually I'm watching them with sometimes a bevy or something
Yeah.
along those lines, like a little, especially these fall ones, like it's have a little red wine, or maybe I've been hankering for like a hard cider watching some of these movies, but mostly it's like popcorn, something like that.
Very good. It's important to stay hydrated.
Absolutely. Priority number one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good luck today, Brian. And you do have an extra veto that you didn't use
You're not gonna no, you're not gonna take that from me.
I
Wash that
can't
away with
double
the storm waters. You heartless
it.
harbingers of doom.
Yes, exactly. No, sorry. But good luck. All right.
Thank
Last but not least, our third panelist is making her first appearance as a drafter, but she was a great guest co-host back in November for the autumn research draft last year. She's been patiently waiting for this draft to come up in the rotation. It's literally been almost 2 years in the making from when she first suggested the topic. She created the initial eligibility list, and then it took us quite a while at HMD, the whole team, to weigh in and figure out and vet the list, have Kate run it through the BACA eligibility filter. I'm very excited for her to be drafting against these two savvy players. Welcome, Jackie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little leery because I've certainly heard both of them draft in the past. So I'm just like, okay. But I think I'm going to be like Cece. I'm going to work to play my list, how I perceive the rules to be, and how I feel about these movies. And I'm also like Brian, where there were some that I watched them this time around. I'm like, I didn't remember liking them the first time as much as I did this time. So my list started one way, shifted a lot, and was even shifting this morning. So just trying to figure out where I wanted to put things, and then figure out my no way, no how list versus my I can live with it.
All right. Well, you're the outlier here, but I have faith in you. Are you a movie snacker? I saw something. What did you hold up when we were before we recorded?
Well, there was another double decker who posted on Instagram today. They're very boring. I think, I don't remember the word they used, charcuterie board. And I'm like, that's what I should make for this. I don't normally, when I watch the movies, I'm normally playing a jigsaw puzzle on my iPad. But for this, I made what I'm referring to as the poor man's charcuterie board because they didn't have brie at the grocery store this weekend. So I'm very upset. But I have Ritz crackers, Swiss cheese, Havarti, some salami. I threw some nuts and some blueberries in there. So keeping myself well prepared and in the food mind frame during this draft.
Well, send the photo to me and I'll post it on the Instagram after we get players. So that's great. So good luck. Okay, so let's start shifting into gameplay mode. If it's your first time listening, you can pause here, listen to the Hallmark Movie Drafts intro show first. That's where I go over the rules in more depth and about the format, how vetoes work, or you can keep listening and you'll probably pick it up quickly. For eligibility, I already mentioned what the formal criteria was. You can see the eligibility lists on Instagram and on our Letterboxd. But honestly, like I said, who knows? People are just going to play their hearts and they're going to state their cases. The only thing that we know for sure is that the movies had to premiere on Hallmark's channels or their Hallmark Plus streaming platform that used to be called Hallmark Movies Now. Let's talk drafting positions for this match. There are 3 of them, A, B, and C. Drafter C picks positions 10, 7, and 3 on the list. They get 1 veto card and 1 veto override card. Drafter B picks positions 9, 6, 4, and 2 on the list. Drafter V gets only 1 veto card because this position gets 4 picks instead of 3, so they get more chances to get their movies from their personal list onto the final list. And Drafter A picks positions 8, 5, and the number one position on the list, they get a veto card and a bonus veto. So this position picks the number one movie and they get 2 vetoes. And remember, Brian has 1 leftover veto that he can use in addition to any that come with his drafting positions. How do we decide who gets drafter A, B, or C? That's where Erin Beth comes in. She's going to test your knowledge with a round of trivia questions related to the eligible movies. The first person to answer one question correctly gets to choose whether they want to be drafter A, B, or C. The second person to answer the next question gets to choose theirs from the remaining 2. And then Brian, the person who didn't answer at all, will get whatever's left over. Remember, if you win the trivia round, you're going to be the first up in the veto order as well. It's a double-edged sword for winning. After all of that, Erin Beth, take it away with the trivia round.
All right, we're going to start with some rules. Number 1, you can't answer until I have finished asking the question. 2, as soon as I finish asking the question, raise your virtual hand. 3, call the name of the first person to raise their hand. If I call your name, you must answer immediately. Any pause of more than 2 seconds will be considered a wrong answer, and the question will go to the remaining drafters. 4, if you answer incorrectly, you cannot answer again until the other 2 drafters have made a guess. And 5, no clues. So when it's clear none of the drafters know the answer, we will move on to another question. Do we have any questions? All right, there's nothing from you, then I have some for you. We are going to start with Welcome to Mamas. Melanie Scafano and Daniel DiTomaso run a restaurant together in Welcome to Mamas. What type of arcade game does Daniel add to the restaurant? Jackie, yep, fast with that hand. What is your answer?
Pinball machine.
A pinball machine is correct. So you're going to get to decide which drafting position you want. And we will have Cece and Brian deck it out for the second choice. We are going to go with question from Summer Villa. Hillary Burton and Vic Webster star in Summer Villa. Where is Vic when Hillary finds him at the villa? Cece, your hand was up first.
I think the pool.
Into the swimming pool.
Okay.
It's a very iconic shot. It deserved a spot in the trivia. So correct, Cece had that. Lynn picked that one correctly. Brian is last. So Cece, you'll have second choice, and Brian, you will get whatever the ladies leave you behind.
Brian is being such a gentleman. I would expect no less from him. All
Chivalry.
right, Jack.
Ever heard of
Chivalry
it?
is not dead. Yes. Yes, it's alive and well in Greenville. Jackie, congratulations. What drafting position would you like? Do you need me to read them again, or do you have it?
I'm good. I'm going to go with drafter B.
Jackie is going with drafter B. She wants more picks and hopefully more control over the list. You'll be first up in the veto order for every round that you're not picking in. Cece, that leaves drafter C and drafter A.
I'll go A.
Cece is going to be drafter A. She's going to get 8, 5, and 1. She gets 2 bonus vetoes. I was hoping that Brian would end up with 3 vetoes because he would just be a wild man with that. But you
That's
very
okay.
wisely
I
chose.
I picked it to keep him from having 3 vetoes.
So Brian gets to be drafter C. He's going to get picks 10, 7, and 3. He will actually have a veto override, and the leftover veto. So he gets 2 vetoes and a veto override, and he gets the honor of kicking off the list with his number 10 selection. Brian, whenever you're ready, just go ahead and state the title of your number 10 movie, and we will get this game started.
All right, kick it off the only way I know how, and that is with Mistletoe Secret at number 10.
Mistletoe Secret.
I got to get it on the list. Obviously, I'm afraid it's going to be neglected, so I got to squeeze it on in here, even though it deserves a much higher spot. I don't want to play with fire.
Mistletoe Secret is a great choice. You've got Chris Russell, you have Kelly Pickler, you have Tyler Hines. It's from 2019. The Mistletoe Diner owner Aria, that's Kelly, convinces a famous travel writer to do a feature story on her beloved hometown. However, when the travel guru and his ghostwriter both show up, she finds her heart torn between Sterling Masters, that's Chris Russell, and Alex, that's Tyler, the man who has genuinely fallen for her. Oddly enough, this movie did not make the top 10 list of Tyler Hines movies that Bran, Jen, and Tracy drafted last year. Tell us why this should be number 10 on this list, Brian.
Upon rewatch, I had a lot of fun, more fun than I did with my initial viewing. Chris Russell, right in his wheelhouse. Perfect role for Chris Russell. This is what he should do all the time, every time. Never stop. He's perfect. Kelly, charming. Patrick Duffy, love seeing Patrick Duffy. And Tyler is almost an afterthought in this movie. Like he's there. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's just right down the middle. Just really, really had a good time with this movie, and it surprised me upon rewatching it, and pleasantly surprised. And so, those are my reasons. Dare you to veto? I dare somebody. Don't even. I have an override, and I have 3 vetoes that I will be firing off willy-nilly. I have
2 vetoes.
2 vetoes.
Math is hard. You have 2 vetoes. But the great thing is any time that Tyler Hines can be like second fiddle to Chris Russell, it's a fun time. It's so unexpected. And her accent gets less annoying with every watching of this movie. That's the best thing. But Jackie is first up in the veto order. Those are just my thoughts. They count for nothing. I just gave you some time to think, Jackie. What are you going to do? Do you like this movie at number 10?
I said to myself, I'm going to control my facial expressions so no one knows what I'm thinking. This one was hard to control my facial expressions, especially knowing that Lynn and Aaron Beth know exactly where this one is on my top ranking list. You will not draw a veto out of me, Brian, at this point. If you'd like to blow up the list already, that is fine. All I can say is her diner's in trouble, the town's in trouble. But sure, let's go order ornaments from Germany. That makes total sense. Pay for the shipping. They don't have good ornaments in the US, apparently. That's about pie. I don't think we see them make any pie. We see them maybe take a bite out of pie, but I don't really see much food in this movie. It is the restaurant as the central theme. The mistletoe man story makes 0 sense. Patrick Duffy is a sweetheart. He doesn't deserve this movie. But yes, on the bromance between Christopher Russell and Tyler Hines. But as much as it pains me, I will let it go.
I could say that maybe Chris Russell and Tyler Hines are a feast for the eyes.
Okay.
Okay, good. Cece's laughing, but her mic is off. Come on, I needed that laugh, Cece. All right, Cece, it's up to you. Are you going to let this slide at number 10? What are your thoughts?
There's no need to let it slide because it's number 10 on my list.
Oh,
So I'm down. I'm obviously like, for those who cannot see, because you're listening on a podcast, my background is Kelly Pickler today. I consider myself the Deck the Hallmark double-decker head of the Pickler posse, which I post usually during the Christmas season whenever Mistletoe Secret is on. I don't really go for the Graceland ones so much, but I do usually post whenever this movie is on, letting everybody know because I love this movie, unironically. I like a lot of Hallmark stuff, ironically, but I actually just really love the bromance is great. Though, like, upon rewatching, Sterling Masters is very infuriating as a friend. He's a terrible friend. Like, this is not a guy. He knows that Tyler's into this girl. And he's like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try. He knows he's lying about all these things. He's got to know that it pains his friend who is a writer to have all of his work attributed to him for just being this pretty face who gets to travel around and get all the credit for all the writing. It's just like, it almost infuriates you if you're ever someone who's been like overlooked at work and does a lot of your boss's work and then they get all the credit. It's a very frustrating situation, but they make it so light and funny because they're just great going back and forth off each other. Obviously, Patrick Duffy is a national treasure. And I do a lot of reconnaissance before the Hallmark movie drafts, where I go look at old posts in the group to try to see if, like in this case, Jackie O'Brien has commented on any posts about these movies. And I did laugh because a couple people back when this movie first aired thought that Tyler was going to get murdered at the end when the guy takes him off in the cab to the location. And Tyler's like, "Where are you going? This is not where we're supposed to be going." People were like, I don't know how they didn't see it coming, but I just thought that was really funny that a lot of double deckers at some point in time when this first aired thought that Tyler's character was going to get unalived at the end of the movie. But anyhow, I know I wasn't supposed to ramble this much about a movie that wasn't my pick, but I love it. So I'm not going to veto.
So Cece's not going to veto. I don't know. I'm still back on the Pickler Posse. Did not know that was a thing, but I'm glad to know that it exists, and sign me up. I'll be a subscriber.
I think I'm the only one.
All right. So congratulations, Brian. You have gotten the Mistletoe Secret locked in at number 10.
That
Jackie.
backfired miserably.
Jackie, what are your thoughts for number 9? You're going to make your very first pick as a drafter. HMD history getting made.
So I am going to go with A Dash of Love from 2017.
Dash of Love. Yeah. So that's Jen Lilly as Nikki. Brendan Penny, still not on the line, is Paul. And it goes like this. An aspiring chef, Nikki, lands her dream job at her idol's restaurant. She befriends the handsome executive chef, Paul, where they spend time in the kitchen together. Their boss fires them both to protect her secret that she is stealing Nikki's recipes. And the duo decides to open up their own pop-up restaurant to prove that their food is better and see if love is also on the menu. This movie was ranked number 3 in the Brendan Penny draft back in March of 2024. That was Thaddeus, Christine, and Emily who drafted that list. A Dash of Love, Jackie, tell us about it. Why do you like this for number 9?
I like this because so much of the movie is spent actually in the kitchen. They spend a lot of time cooking. She's making up recipes. Are they a little far-fetched? Maybe yes, maybe no. I feel like there's good chemistry between the two. Normally I'm not into a villain in a Hallmark movie, but Perry Gilpin I think that's how you pronounce her name. She makes a great villain as far as this is concerned. I loved her lying in bed, watching the camera streaming from the kitchen so she can steal the recipes, even going into the pop-up to basically announce that Jen has stolen all these recipes. So I thought there was a lot of fun. And like I said, I felt there was good chemistry. I loved it when every time we went into the bakery where, unbeknownst to Jen Lilly, Brendan Penny's parents own, just all that pastry in the background looked good. And I know this is not a pastry one, but that looked very, very appealing. For me, it was just so much food and so much time spent in the kitchen, and they looked like they were really cooking. And then a lot of fun on the side. So that's my reason for number 9.
Those are some great reasons. Erin Beth, my feelings about Jen Lilly. Sometimes she's fabulous in these movies. I love the one that she did with my boy Brant Doherty, right? Mingle All the Way is good. Sometimes she comes off as like a really hyper sort of chihuahua. No offense to your little dog, Hamilton, who I don't think is a chihuahua, but he's still a little dog. What do you think of Jen Lilly in this movie before we get to Cece?
Dash Love is an okay movie for me. I'm Jen Lilly tends to be always hit and miss, but she does star in one of my very favorite non-Hallmark Christmas movies, The Spirit of Christmas. And like I there is a spot in my heart for Jen Lilly, but not in this movie. Like it just Roz, Jackie mentioned the actress's name. She played Roz on Frasier. Like she to me was the absolute best part of this movie because it was so far-fetched. She's sitting there and closed caption, watching closed circuit TV, watching it. It's so funny. And my Boston Terrier Hamilton is just whining over being called a chihuahua, by the way.
So sorry. So sorry. I apologize to Hamilton, Boston Terrier. Go Boston Terriers. Yay. All right, save me, Cece. What are you going to do about A Dash of Love at number 9? You agree with this one?
I hate this movie, but I'm not going to veto it because I have bigger fish to fry if they get on the list. But I have like physical rejection of Jen Lilly when I see her. I cannot stand her. I shudder at the image of her on my screen. I don't like her as a person when I've met her at Christmas Con. I don't like the way she's treated other people in the Deck the Hallmark community, if you know what I'm talking about. She's just not a good person, in my opinion, as a human being. That being said, I also don't care if Brendan Penny is ever on the line because I'm not a Brendan Penny girl. So nothing about the hour and 20 whatever minutes I spent watching this movie was enjoyable. But like I said, bigger fish to fry. I will not get all 10 of my movies on the list. But this was probably towards the bottom of my actual big list that's somewhere in this pile of stuff. But yeah, I hate this movie. But I'm not going to eat it.
So you're saying there's no chance of the Pickler posse becoming the Pickler and Penny posse? Possibly?
No.
No. Okay. So it gets a free pass from Jackie, from Cece. Brian, what about you? A dash of love.
I loved this pick. I borderline love this movie. I'm a penhead through and through. They were great together. You're in the kitchen so much. And it's like the contrast of cooking methods was nice. Like she's like, oh, let's throw in some candy. And he's just like, whoa, how dare you, not in my stainless steel kitchen. So that contrast I thought was really nice. They played well together. Yeah, great villain. Yeah, this was 9 on my actual list as well. So I am very, very excited to have this.
Brian with 2 points right there.
Glad I could help you, Brian.
You can tell we have each other's backs here.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not sure if she's being sarcastic or not, but she's smiling, so maybe she's being sincere. Who knows? Okay, Cece, it is up to you now. You're going to give us your pick for number 8. I can't wait to hear what it is. What's it going to be?
I'm going to go with Summer Villa at number 8.
Summer Villa. Oh my gosh. What a fabulous movie. 2016. Hilary Burton is Terry. Vic Webster is Matthew. This movie was number 1 on the Vic Webster draft. It was number 7 on the One Tree Hill lead cast draft that we just had in September. Terry is a romance novelist. That's Hilary Burton. She's got writer block. Vic is a celebrity chef named Matthew. He's suffering from a bad review, and they accidentally end up staying at the same French villa for the summer. And as they attempt to share the house and mend their personal lives, they find that what they're really missing is more of a personal matter. Such a great film. Cece, why do you like this for number 8?
I like it for number 8. I thought it was a good movie. I thought there was good chemistry. I didn't really care for the daughter. I didn't really care for the Baxter or whatever, the other guy in the movie. He was very irritating. So he like tamped down my enjoyment.
Oh, the French guy who was another chef and everything. Yeah.
He was really gross. So I thought it was a good movie, but not at the top of my list. So that's why.
All right. So Jackie, Summer Villa at number 8. I think one of the memorable scenes from Summer Villa, aside from the infamous Vic Webster in the swimming pool, is Vic Webster trying to fold his body like an accordion to get into that little roadster, a little convertible roadster for the driving scene. What do you love about this movie, if you love this movie, for number 8?
I do love this movie. I'm struggling. I don't think I want to waste a veto this early in the game. This is one of my all-time favorite Hallmark movies. I love the maturity of everybody in this film. I love that they have adult problems, they have adult conversations. When they have to go their separate ways at the end, it's an adult hug. I think if this movie was made now, it would be a little bit different, but back then it was very, I think, Hallmark risque in 2016 to have them sitting on a bed together at the end when they're saying goodbye. I think the symphony of everybody cooking when they were all in Evangeline's together. The person who played the daughter, she's apparently never acted again. I hate to think it was a horrible experience on the set, but I did check out IMDb. But there are many things I could say about this, but I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to veto.
Cece killed her career, I think. quite frankly.
Maybe.
She probably
Maybe.
posted a review on
Maybe.
IMDb. Who knows?
Maybe.
She's been known to do that. She's been known to do that. Just saying. Yeah, okay. So Summer Villa, you're not going to waste a veto. Aaron Beth, how many times have we heard, I'm not going to waste a veto in the bottom third of this list, only to have the players regret it further up?
I'm actually very surprised with this caliber of a movie that the veto was not wasted, but we still have Brian and he's got 2 vetoes. But they always play those vetoes close to the chest there on those bottom ones.
They do. They
So
do.
we'll see how that plays out at the end.
Brian loves his vetoes. He's got 2 of them. What do you think, Brian? Summer
Yeah.
Villa, number 8.
I really like this pick. This is so boring. They really like, you feel like you're there. I don't know what it was, how they made you feel like you were there, but I felt like watching this movie, like I was able to relax a little bit. Like I felt relaxed watching this movie. I don't know if it's being in the warm embrace of Vic Webster. You just feel like you can let every worry go when he's at the helm. But yeah, I just felt it had like a great vibe, great job with the chemistry and the cooking, and just like the food part of it was incorporated so nicely. Yeah, I don't know. Really, really, really good pick for me. And I'm tempted for gameplay's sake to veto it just because I know Jackie wants us higher, and I could kick it off of here and know she's going to play it again and then kick it off again if I wanted to just for fun. But I don't know how fun that would be actually, because I do want this on the list.
So you're going to leave it? You're going to
Yeah.
let it? Yeah. Before we move on to you picking your number 7, I have to say, at looking at the new holiday movies that are coming up, I think you manifested this movie that's coming up, Brian. It's the pairing of Vic Webster and Lacey Chabert. And when you were in the Hallmark Movie Drafts Championship second round, trying to guess Lacey movies and who she has starred in movies with, you said Vic Webster, and then you went on to talk about their height difference and apple
Yeah.
crates, and but you've gotten your wish because it's going to happen. So yay you. Yeah. All right. Number 7. What are you thinking?
So yeah, on the heels of Summer Villa, it almost sets the bar for me. Like I need a certain caliber movie, because having whatever comes after this, I know from somebody's perspective, it's like a barometer. Like, is this movie better than Summer Villa? Does it deserve to be ahead of it in the list forever, for the rest of time?
Yeah.
Always above Summer Villa, better than, definitively better than Summer Villa. Is The Love Club, Sydney's Journey, better than the Summer Villa? Yes. Number 7 on the board.
The Love Club, Sydney's Journey from 2023. Lily Gao is Sydney. Jesse Hutch is Theo. Brittany Bristow is in this. This is part of like the Love Club trilogy. Former track athlete Sydney is now a successful food blogger who still holds a flame for her college boyfriend, whom she hasn't seen in 10 years. And after running into him unexpectedly, she discovers he's entered the Valentine 10K run and doesn't want to miss out on an opportunity to reconnect. And after being paired up with a running buddy who is also a chef and owner of a struggling local restaurant, they quickly seem to share a bond over their love of food and cooking. And as Sydney helps Theo elevate his menu to buzzworthy appeal, Theo helps Sydney reach the finish line. This movie has one of the best burgers ever seen in Hallmark history. Brian Harold, why do you love this movie at number 7? Good luck with your pitch.
Well, I like the Love Club. I think I like trilogies in general. Like they tend to like be. I don't know. I tend to enjoy that. Just the fun of different casts in different movies together. This one I like a lot because I do think Jesse Hutch is really, really fun in this. And the bit that he does continually, just always eating. Everywhere he's go, he's grabbing something to eat. And I think that is so funny. It's such a quirky character thing. And like, he just nails it. And he's like so big and like, just all over the place. And yeah, his place is really cool. Like I loved his restaurant. It was very nice in there, and incorporating a little running challenge is cool. So yeah, this one, I think this is my favorite of the Love Clubs. And yeah, I'm so glad it's here for the food list. So I have a chance to mark it in history.
Market in history, Brian is really making the pitch
And
for The
film.
Love Club, Sydney's journey to forever be known as a movie that is better than Summer Villa, A Dash of Love, The Mistletoe Secret. Jackie, you were first up in the veto order. I know you said you were going to try to play the game with a poker face. Can I just tell you, you are failing miserably.
I'm failing miserably. I know. I will say this is in the middle of my list. Unlike the first pick that we had, which was at the bottom of my list. I was actually surprised when I watched this one because I had never seen it before. I think it was the second movie I watched for this. I was trying to knock out some movies that I hadn't watched or that maybe I didn't like in the beginning. And I think the fact that I had not watched a lot of food movies at that point or seen a lot of Hallmark lately, I had gone on a Hallmark hiatus for a while because there were just way too many movies. I think I liked it more than it probably needed to be liked. I know I joked in our chat. Jesse Hutch, it was probably one of my favorite Jesse Hutch movies that I've seen. I thought he and Lily Gao, I think that's how you pronounce her name, had fun chemistry. They were enjoyable together. I don't necessarily agree with putting salt on your spring roll. And the one part about a lot of these movies that would tick me off was how the person who doesn't own the restaurant, it has this amazing palate and tells the chef the way to fix their restaurant. I do find that very humorous, but enjoyed it more than I thought. But we're at what, number 7 right now?
Yep, number 7.
I hate that it's above Summer Villa, but I chose not to use the veto. I'm going to let this one slide.
Jackie's going to let this slide. She is going to leave it up to Cece as to whether or not this movie stays on the list at number 7, whether it comes off because Cece vetoes it. Maybe it comes back on because Brian plays it again. You never know. Cece, what are you going to do? Harbinger of Doom.
As a chubby girl, I've never related to somebody so much as watching Jesse Hutch run down the street with a thing of noodles, just shoveling noodles into his mouth. So I really enjoyed, just like Brian said, the whole thing where he's like constantly eating. Oh, so I should say I'm not going to veto it because I think a little higher on my list. On my personal list, I think it was in this spot. I think on my draft list, it was a little higher. But I actually was shocked that I love this movie because Matt, who everybody in this chat knows, but my boyfriend Matt loves this movie too. And he kept being like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to like it. I don't know. Let me know what you think when you watch it. I don't know. And I was just like, it's so good. Oh my God. Like, what are you talking about? I just enjoyed a lot of it. Byron was just so like such a yucky guy to have her like thinking about dating again or walking back down some path with. It's just like, no, girl. Like, as a girl who has lots of girlfriends too, I'm just like, no, girl, my girls would never let me do this. Don't do it, girl. So you're watching and saying that, and then the whole Jesse Hutch is just so funny. I also enjoyed that they got her this quote unquote hot personal trainer who wasn't as hot as Jesse Hutch, and also injured himself trying to give Jesse Hutch a high five. And Jesse Hutch pulls out of the way like a little prank, like a little child. And it's like, you really injure your back that bad from that? Like, I'm much older than this person. Like, I'm in my 50s. I can give people high fives. I think that was a little ridiculous, but it was funny, but it added to the charm of the movie that like the personal trainer hurt themselves getting pranked out of a high five. But I thought it was fun. I often go on vibes in these movies, not like, oh my God, this plot was like, had all these holes. I'm just like, oh my God, I had so much fun watching this movie. I would watch it again. So I'm down with this pick.
Brian, I can't believe you did it. You got a Love Club movie onto a definitive list of a final 10. Another first for you.
Where it
Congratulations.
belongs.
Right where it belongs, at number 7, above Somerville, forever and always. I'm speechless, but I totally agree. Out of all the Love Club movies, this one was the best. Jesse Hutch delivers big time. Jesse Hutch stuffing noodles into his face while running is a sight that everyone should be seeing because it's just so good. And there are some really good looking burgers that come into play. All right, Jackie, it's going to be hard for you for number 6, following Brian's train of thought. Is there possibly a movie that is better than The Love Club Sydney's Journey that deserves
I
to
don't,
sit at number 6?
I don't think there are any movies with a better burger, but
Should we
maybe
just
I have one, and that would
Okay.
be A Taste of Romance.
Oh, A Taste of Romance. We're going back to 2012. It's Terry Polo is Sarah. James Patrick Stewart. Remember him, guys. Is Gil. So this one's about an uptight French chef. Sarah gets fired when her upscale cafe, Chez Varienne, is suddenly overshadowed by a new restaurant, the Five Alarm Grill, moving in right next door, and it's run by a group of rowdy firemen led by the handsome former firefighter Gil. It's really hard to distinguish between Gil and Grill, but I'm doing my best in this description. Sarah suddenly softens when she meets Gil's 10-year-old daughter, Hannah, who she can't help but take under her wing when she learns that Hannah's growing up without a mom. Ignoring the obvious tension between her dad and Sarah, Hannah plays matchmaker. A local food critic gets into the mix. There is a lot happening in this movie. That's all I can deal with. Tell us why you love A Taste of Romance.
This is original Hallmark. This is Hallmark 2012. It was before the formula. Terry Polo did a few Hallmarks back then, and they didn't have as many movies, and I remember watching this one a lot. Sad that it's on Up, so I don't get to see it in my Hallmark Plus at this point, but I think it's staying on my DVR for a while. In the beginning, Terry Polo's character is very, very annoying, very uptight, French chef, snooty, looks down on the firemen and their burger, wings, whatever kind of joint. But I liked playing with them. But I also really liked, there were two scenes in particular that really got to me on top of just like watching the friendship of the two leads come together. There was the scene when Bailey Madison, I think that's the actress's name, who plays the young girl. She was between ages 10 and 12, I think, when this was shot. Breaks down about not remembering her mom and all that fear. And just, it really made me emotional. I cried watching her. I thought she was really, really good. And then the scene when Terry Polo's character just decides she's had it, she's never going to make it. The review, for those that have never seen it, sorry, spoiler alert, but the guy does the review on the Five Alarm Grill instead of her restaurant, but she was the one cooking at the Five Alarm Grill, and this just breaks her, and she decides that she's no longer going to cook. So there are many, many other things that I like about this movie, but this one has always had a place in my heart for a long, long time. Plus, you have the guy playing Redmond Rose, who used to be in the Nanny, so just all sorts of fun stuff. So for me, this is my number 6 pick.
I love that you went with this movie. I think that you've chosen the perfect movie to be above The Love Club, Sydney's Journey. Can't fault you in any way on that. My opinion doesn't count. It's really going to be up to Cece and Brian. So, Cece, I couldn't read your expression when this title was announced. What are your thoughts on A Taste of Romance at number 6? Gonna keep it?
I'm gonna veto it. I'm gonna veto. I got 2 vetoes. This is not on my list. I just don't really care for this movie, so I'm just gonna veto it.
You're gonna
That's
veto it? Okay. Brian, you have a veto override. Do you want to use your veto override on this and keep it on the list, or should we have Jackie pick up the new title?
That was such a heartfelt pitch, Jackie, and it breaks my heart to just keep that veto override in my pocket where it belongs. Thank you, Cece. Thank you for your service.
For your service. Brian loves the troops and the service, so that's good. Jackie, I'm sorry, it's coming off the list for now, but anyone can play it again, including yourself, higher up on the list. In the meantime, do you have another title for us to take a look at?
I'm gonna try. feel like cold-hearted people on this call might veto this one. Apparently, no one on this call has a heart or is moved in movies, whereas I enjoy a movie that makes me cry. So I'm going to give another one that there was a little bit of emotion in, and I'm going to go with another Hallmark original, Dear Santa.
Dear Santa, Jackie going retro before all the cookie cutters were starting to come out. 2011 is Amy Acker. She's made a couple of Hallmark movies since then. Amy Acker is Crystal. David Hayden Jones is Derek. He's been in a few as well. Crystal comes from a wealthy family and she loves to spend money, her parents' money, that is. And at the risk of being cut off, Crystal has a flash of inspiration when she finds a letter to Santa from 7-year-old Olivia, who wants Santa to find her widower father, Derek, a new wife. Derek owns a local soup kitchen and he's dedicated his life to helping others. Though Crystal has never set foot in a soup kitchen, she soon seeks out Derek and starts volunteering her time to get closer to him, unaware that Derek's girlfriend will do anything to keep her man to herself. And just to add another OG layer to this one was directed by 90210's Jason Priestley. I don't know. It's a banger. Jackie, why do you like this one for your replacement pick?
So there's so many different things in this movie. Definitely some over-the-topness, especially in the beginning with Amy Acker's very flamboyant rich girl lifestyle, really bad technology stuff with her mom calling from the beach on webcam, probably before really any kind of good technology. It was one that I remember watching a lot back in the day. I don't feel like it's been in the rotation a lot lately. There were some hilarious scenes between the rival girlfriends where there's one very funny scene where the woman that is dating the David Hayden Jones pre-Bramble House character and Amy Acker's character, they're cooking. One's like beating up eggs, one's whipping, I don't know what it was, cream or something like that. And the food goes all over the place. So there's a lot of humor in that. There's a lot of over the topness and a ton of wait what's. Brian, I thought this movie might appeal to your Northeast roots. It certainly does to mine, where we see real snow in the movie. We see real slush in the movie. She's helping with the snow plow. So there's fun stuff like that. And then again, there's a daughter who is crying, and there's a line, and I lost it. She says something like, first time I feel like I've had a mom in a long time. And I just felt like this movie had a little bit of everything, a lot of zany, a lot of fun. And the food component is this soup kitchen and why he wants this soup kitchen kept. And so that was very emotional. And one more very pre-Hallmark thing, a obviously gay character wearing lipstick. And I think he had an earring, and that would not have flown a few years later in any Hallmark movie. So that is my pitch for Dear Santa.
So, Dear Santa is a wild ride. It's a roller coaster of emotions. So I see that you are testing out to see if the stone hearts of Brian and Cece will melt, thaw out a little bit, and let you keep this on your list. I do want to point out, Jackie, that the beginning sequences of Amy Acker's character basically stalking this man, following him around in her truck, observing him and the kid with a different music stings in the background is very Lifetime movie-ish. I mean, it could go dark really easily yes. Instead of the lighthearted stuff. I don't know what's going to happen here. Cece, once again, I couldn't read your expression. I saw you take a drink of a beverage that looked absolutely delicious. What is it?
I have a beer my friend gave me called Sweet Scoville Sting. I didn't realize it was going to be, it's like I don't think it's an IPA. It's like some kind of golden ale maybe, but it's very spicy. So I was like doing water and the beer.
That's little chasers.
It's delicious. This was not on my list, but it was very close to number 10. I think it was maybe 12 or 13 on my original list. And I really like this movie, so I'm just gonna not veto it because I like the movie and I love Amy Acker. I'm a big like Buffy and Angel person, so I love her. And I will say lots of problematic things in that initial thing of her like finding this letter and stalking this man. kind of creepy, but I do like whenever Hallmark. It's hard in the Hallmark universe to deal with the issues of like unhoused Americans in a way that's not really trite. But I think this movie did a little bit better job than most Hallmark movies or other made for TV movies do dealing with a crisis in America. So I did appreciate that. And I did appreciate that it wasn't like she just got the guy and then kind of like gave up on the soup kitchen and was like, let's go be happy. And they kept the soup kitchen as like a focus in the movie. So I did appreciate that. So I'm not going to veto it.
Okay, Cece's not going to veto it. So it's really up to Brian as to whether or not this Dear Santa replacement stays on the list. Brian, what do you think of this movie? Have you ever plowed snow?
Yeah, well, I rode along in a snowplow. My dad used to plow, and I would ride with him, and that was fun. So yeah, no, I like Amy Acker a lot. The real snow in this hit home. Dirty snow is always like the dead giveaway. It's like, okay, yeah, now we're talking. That's how it really looks. Like when you see it all brown and gray. That played that went a long way. Unfortunately, I got a veto burning a hole in my pocket. I got to get it out. And so I will veto this in the name of
Oh,
gameplay.
wow.
So this is not personal, even though shots were fired right at myself and Cece for being heartless. That doesn't affect me at all because I don't have a heart. So yeah, I'm definitely vetoing this one. Let's get something else up on the board that works better with my list.
It's a good thing you have a charcuterie board, Jackie, because you might be getting hangry at all these vetoes. While you're thinking of what you might want to do for your number 6 second replacement, Aaron Beth, what do you think about this movie being vetoed? It could come back again, but who knows?
Dear Santa, it was on my list. It slid off very last minute when it dawned on me a different movie was eligible. I love Amy Acker, huge Angel Buffy fan from back in the day. I don't think she plays a good heiress. I think she's too sweet and nice. I think there's an issue with her stalking the guy, but it's old school Hallmark, and I think that's why I like it so much. Is sometimes the old school Hallmark movies hit differently because it's not the same as we see now. Can we talk about those mean little girls? Every time I watch that movie, I, as an adult, want to push them down.
They're really bad. They're really bad. There's some good skating in this one too. Okay, Jackie, we have stalled long enough. If you're still hanging in there, what can you offer up at number 6 that still would be better than the Love Club Sydney's Journey at number 7? That's
Well,
what
I
it's
will I will say with all these vetoes, at least everyone's getting to hear my thoughts about some movies that maybe they have forgotten about and it's time to watch again and
exactly.
bring back some nostalgia. Old Hallmark, which in some ways is still better than some of the new Hallmark. So this one, I'm going to do Christmas at the Golden Dragon.
Christmas at the Golden Dragon. All right. So Jackie has decided to flash forward 10 years. This is from 2022. It's Kara Wang is Rami. Osric Chow, I believe that's how his name is pronounced, is Rick. Sarah Canning is in this. Antonio Cupo is in this. And everybody's favorite, Barbara Niven, is in this as well. When Rami and Rick's parents surprise them with the news that they'll be closing the Chinese restaurant they have owned and operated for decades, the siblings each find themselves reevaluating their futures. Also impacted by the news are the Landmark restaurant's loyal patrons and staff who have all come to depend on the restaurant over the holidays. Jackie, that's just a quick synopsis. Tell us why you love this movie at number 6 for your second replacement.
It's not focused on food as much as it is on the restaurant. We see a lot of takeout containers. I'm a huge Chinese food lover, so that I actually had some both Friday night and Saturday night for dinner. So it's on my mind, and I feel it's a very authentic Chinese restaurant. And I do feel for people who have to work during the holidays and they don't get to enjoy it. I love did you just point to yourself, Cece? You get to work during the holidays? I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry, because many of us do get to just chill out and relax. But because of that, that leads to the whole in this movie, the whole humorous thing about her never really experiencing Christmas. And I love the fact that her boyfriend and her boyfriend's family try to give her a Christmas that is truly enjoyable. And they don old clothing to go sing Christmas carols. I don't know anyone who sings Christmas carols. There's all these interconnected relationships and the way that people come together in a restaurant, whether you're eating in, you're taking out, you're getting delivery. There's all these different ways that we can enjoy food. And I feel like that had somewhat of a good theme around it. And I loved, of course, at the end when they all come together. Again, not any real cooking in this, but just the fact of the restaurant being the home of where people congregate. I'm sure there were a few other things, but I'll leave it at that. So I am putting in Christmas at the Golden Dragon.
I think that was beautifully said. And there isn't a lot of cooking that we see, but a lot of food is alluded to, like you were saying. And I, for one, was craving Chinese food after watching this movie. All right, my fingers are crossed for you. Cece, you still have a veto. What are your thoughts on Christmas at the Golden Dragon at number 6?
I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna veto. I'm a big fan of the multiple storylines that all like interconnect thing, that whole bit. I'm also a fan of the bit where somebody's like, I want to experience Christmas, and then they like do all these things that are a letdown. Like nobody wants to dress up in clothes from the 1800s. I did it for one of those little like vintage photo shoots once at a theme park. That sucks. It's like heavy and it's hot. And nobody, like in this day and age, you come to somebody's door, you're lucky if they open it. I was shocked anybody even open their doors. I don't open the door when somebody knocks at my door. That being said, and people do often. But I just like that interconnectedness, and more than anything, Matt, you can mute this now. I am here for Anthony Cupo in all shapes, form, every movie he's in. Did I say his name wrong? I did. Antonio.
No, Antonio
Anthony
Cupo.
Okay. I'm like, is it Antonio or Anthony? Okay. Anyway, but he's a hottie, dead ass. And that's all I have to say.
Well, I think when you say Antonio Cupo is a hottie dead ass, I think it sums it up. Brian, I'm not going to ask you if you think Antonio Cupo is a dead ass hottie or not, but what are your thoughts on Christmas at the Golden Dragon, and do you like Chinese food?
I do like Chinese food. I won't veto that statement about Anthony Cupo, and I won't veto this pick. So I'm on board with everything that was discussed. I like the multi-storylines as well. It worked really well. I think upon rewatch, it worked even better, and I really liked it the first time around. I didn't pick up on her trying to experience the Christmas traditions as clearly the first time I watched this as I did the second time, where I was like, oh, well, obviously she's trying to take advantage of all this little stuff. And it worked really well for me the second time. So I really like this. And I do like, Chinese food as well.
Congratulations, Jackie. You survived the number 6 pick. Way to go. Okay, Cece, we survived the number 6 marathon. I don't know what it is about 6 and 7. The last couple of drafts have always been like the veto territory. So we are going to turn to you for your number 5 pick. This is your second to last pick because you only get the number 1 after this one. What are you going to choose? What are you going to play for number 5?
I'm going to go with A Pinch of Portugal.
Pinch of Portugal from 2023. Heather Hemmons is Anna. Luke Mitchell is Russ. When a celebrity chef walks off his show, prep cook Anna must step into the spotlight and make the show her own with the help of Russ, her Aussie cameraman and Portuguese location scout. That was probably the worst Aussie in the history of Aussies. You can do it much better. Tell us why you love this movie. This was filmed on location too, if nothing else, aside from the food. Great scenery.
Yeah, I'm a big Heather Hemmons girl, so that was a plus already going into it. I just really liked the integration of a lot of like side characters into the plot. It wasn't just like in a guy and a girl and she needs to leave her big city job and the whole like Hallmark formula. There was like people in Portugal. They did a lot of things on location. there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I've never worked on a television show, but what I assume is behind the scenes stuff of what would happen if there was a situation where you had to go on without your leader in a work situation. So there was that. I am not, I usually don't like a man with a man bun, but I'm into this man bun. I'm into it. I'm down with the main guy. He's got the accent, he's got the man bun. He's laying out his feelings. He's emotionally aware, emotionally intelligent. There's no stupid, well, there's a little bit of stupid misunderstanding with the host of the show and the girl, but that's mostly an ego thing. There's no like dumb, like I overheard you on a call. I saw you hugging another man. It's like the people are pretty aware and adult about their feelings in this movie. So I like that. And the locations were beautiful. And I feel like you really did see the contrast of where they say like, oh, when she's like when Anna, the main character, is forced into these kind of like forced interviews and forced situations, she doesn't really come alive. But then when she's out in the field and out in the market and out in the on the boat, it really does like she comes to life. And I felt that. It reverberated with me for some reason, even though I've never had to do anything on location for my job, but I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Cece enjoyed A Pinch of Portugal a lot. Listeners, Jackie just changed her screen background as Cece was talking about a man bun to looks like a double burger on a bun. So I gotta ask, Jackie, which do you prefer, a man bun or a hamburger bun?
A hamburger bun?
And which do you prefer, a pinch of Portugal at number 5 or a veto?
I prefer a pinch of Portugal at number 5.
Awesome.
This was the first movie I watched for the draft, and I have no recollection of liking it as much as I did. I felt like this was a love letter to food. I really, really loved it. All the prep work they're doing. She's talking and cutting, and just you can tell she's doing a lot of the cooking. I forget which movie it was off the top of my head where you could tell they were not the ones chopping the food. There's the funny scene where she's on the boat moving and she's seasick. I thought that was a lot of fun. I do find it weird that it's a travel show that goes to all these beautiful locales, but they film their show indoors. So I love the fact that they brought us outdoors. I loved the scene in the farmer's market where she's smelling and tasting all the different foods. I'm imagining that is a real market in Portugal because it was spectacular. And there's a scene where she's with Russ and so the cameraman that she previously professed her love to, and they have to now still be friends and work together, but they're walking and talking and eating ice cream. And I just love it how they're moving and talking. And then they throw out the ice cream to dance. I just thought there were a lot of sweet moments in this, but mostly this was just food, 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 and such just made me very hungry watching this movie.
Food, food, food. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Okay, there. I'm giving it up after that. Way to go, Jackie. Brian, it's all up to you. You still have a veto left. What do you think of A Pinch of Portugal at number 5? And have you ever worn a man bun?
No, I've not worn a man bun. I don't even think I've worn a burger bun on my head. I would probably do that before a man bun. Though I did have long hair in high school. I don't know that it was long enough to it was long enough to pull together, but not super long enough to hold up, I don't think, a man bun. Maybe a New Year's resolution. Man bun. Okay, so this one, I like this movie. I don't have too many bad things to say. Jackie did a great job describing all the good things about it. I think we can do a little better. So we're going to veto.
You're gonna veto? Oh my God. Jackie,
Back
CC gets a veto by Brian.
Is that Brian's last veto?
That is Brian's last veto. He burned
You
his
know-
veto.
You know what I did when they vetoed Perfect Pairing at number 5? Just saying.
Oh, Cece. While you're thinking of your replacement pick for number 5, Let me give a state of the list because I haven't done that yet. So at number 10 is The Mistletoe Secret. At 9, A Dash of Love. At 8, Summer Villa. At 7, The Love Club, Sydney's Journey. At 6, we finally landed on Christmas at the Golden Dragon. And at 5, Cece, what are you going to offer up?
I'm going to offer up Savoring Paris.
Savoring Paris at number 5. Well, that is an interesting choice. Let's see how it goes. It's from 2024. It's Bethany Joy Lenz is Ella. Stanley Weber is Serge. Ella seems both to have everything and nothing at all. Feeling unsettled, following a few setbacks, she decides she needs to re-energize herself by immediately taking a vacation, somewhat hearkening back to her favorite vacation memory when she was 22, to Paris to eat her favorite cheese. As Ella's time progresses in Paris, she may discover what and who she is looking for in life. This movie was number 1 in last month's One Tree Hill lead cast draft that Kate, Jen, Emily, and Jessica did. It was a mega draft. So, CC, Savoring Paris at number 5. Tell us why.
I like this movie a lot. Initially, when I watched it, I was actually on vacation in Wisconsin. I was very tired when I watched it the night it came out, and I actually did not really care for this movie the first time I watched it. The thing I liked the most on the initial watching was Bethany Joy Lenz's wardrobe, as I always seem to like her wardrobes. Her wardrobes are great. If you want to go back to the Luke McFarlane draft and listen to my breakdown of her wardrobes in a Valentine match, she always seems to have on like a high-waisted skirt, a beautiful shirt. She just, I don't know if it's just that she wears the things well, if she has a wardrobe person that goes with her and helps pick the clothes. I don't know. But the bow, the big pink halter top with the bow, that was beautiful with the red pants, the high-waisted pants. Her roommate or the person subletting to her, for me, is the highlight of the movie. Probably because I'm a lot like her and I feel like I really related to that character. I'm trying to remember her name. Had it in my notes.
I don't remember her name, but I remember messaging you when I first saw it and said, "Oh my God, this character reminds me so much
Yeah.
of you." So,
Yeah.
yay.
She just is very much like me. So I actually found her relatable, and I also found the cheesemonger relatable because I feel like I'm not the nicest person always at work, and I do work in the retail industry and service industry, and sometimes I am very annoyed with people, and people probably think I'm the grump like him, but the I found the mother thing. I don't like when a mother tries to like kill a child's dreams in these movies. Her mother's use of emojis and texts were out of this world. Not even a child would use those much emojis. Yeah, that's why it's gonna post at number 5 for me.
Okay, so Stacey's giving compelling reasons for why it's number 5 on her list instead of maybe number 1 on her list. Jackie, you're first up. What do you think?
No veto from me. I'm glad it's on the list. I remember watching this movie the first time and I just enjoyed the movie very, very much. I didn't think it focused a lot on cheese other than like her getting the cheeses every day. And then this time when I was watching it and I just looked at the cheese shop and just the the stacks of cheese and the cases of cheese. So it was very much more food cheese forward than I recalled. Plus her cooking the fondue. Of course, this is Hallmark 2024, where you're allowed to kiss two leading men or two men in the movie. So that's a little bit different. You're seeing what she thinks they're saying, her English translation of their French. I cracked up over the emails on her phone going up. There were just a lot of things to like about it. I think without BJL in it, this movie would not have worked.
All right, so Jackie's not going to use her veto. That means it stays at number 5 on the list. But Brian, we like what you have to say. We want your thoughts. What do you think about this movie?
Yeah, far too low, I think, for this list. We can't do anything about that. Glad it's on the list, but for the record, I just like it on the record. Far too low.
Far too low. Yeah, but it's there. Jackie, we're going to move right on to you to number four. Guys, we are wrapping up this list pretty quickly here. Jackie, what are you going to play?
I'm going to play Hanukkah on Rye.
Hanukkah on Rye 2022. Jeremy Jordan is Jacob. Yael Groblas is Molly. Lisa Loeb is in this as Natalie singing. A matchmaker connects Molly and Jacob, but their new romance is put to the test when they realize that they are competing deli owners. Will a Hanukkah miracle keep them together? This was ranked number 3 on the Julie Sherman draft that was done in July. That was actually me, Dan, and Mary drafting, and Julie Sherman joining the show and doing her own list as well. This movie was a hot debate among all of us as to whether or not it was truly eligible for Food Forward, but ultimately, the decision was yes, that it is, primarily because of the diner locations being so prominent in the movie, less about the cooking. Jackie, why do you love Hanukkah on Rye for your number 4 pick?
This movie to me celebrated food in a way that I love the fact that every scene transition had some type of food in it, whether it was transitioning with a corned beef sandwich or something else. I love um, the relationship. Of course, this is shop around the corner. You've got mail, that whole concept in here. But there's the scene where they just keep bringing out food and having Jeremy Jordan's character taste all the food, and you just see all those deli things. There's very much of a lot of the food that I grew up with and miss terribly living in Florida because we don't know how to have a good bagel down here. I know it's in the water is supposedly the problem. I love the whole argument of how do you put a bagel together and stack it. There's the fun donut thing. It reminded me of a situation when I was a counselor at camp and there was some carnival and I had to man the donut eating contest and they had the donuts hanging on the string and you had to have your hands behind your back and eat the donuts. I did not touch a donut for easily a year. It was so repulsive. But this kind of brought back that memory when they were playing with the donuts. There were a lot of food memories and just all the food looked good. That was granted they weren't cooking it, but you saw a lot of food and the restaurants being a central theme. So that is why Hanukkah on Rye is my number 4 pick.
It's always difficult to find a great bagel outside of New York or actually Philadelphia sometimes, but we do have
San
a place.
Francisco has some good ones if you're ever
San
in San Fran.
Francisco's big bread city in San Francisco, and actually little old Durham, New Hampshire, little college town here in New Hampshire has a fabulous bakery place. It's very, very close to what New York's are like. With that said, Cece, I'm craving a bagel right now. What are your thoughts on Hanukkah on Rye?
I like that you just called Seattle a big bread city, but
San Francisco, San Francisco.
San Francisco. Sorry, I thought you said Seattle. I'm
Nope.
writing this down. San Fran.
San Francisco, big bread city.
bread. Yeah, sourdough. All right. I'm not gonna veto it. I love this movie. The girls can attest. I didn't realize until today that this was actually had forgotten that this was part of our draft and had to add it in my list at the last minute. So I didn't rewatch it, so nothing super fresh in my memory, but I do remember loving it when it originally aired. And I'm not a Jeremy Jordan fan, but I do remember being surprised that I liked this movie despite not being a big fan of his. I'm gonna let it stay, and I appreciate this pick.
Wow. Okay. So Hanukkah on Rye is locked in at number 4. Brian, again, you are veto-less, but quick thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with Cece. I appreciate this on this list. I think 4 is a great spot. Everything Jackie said about it, I agree with. Good flick, great writing, very funny, like a lot of funny moments. And that speaks to my heart a lot. So very happy with this.
Ryan's happy. Aaron Beth, are you happy with this one on the list?
I am. I think it's a cute movie. I I just the family dynamics, everything about it, the side characters. Can we just talk about the grandmas and the moms and the dads and the background characters in this movie are fantastic. And I do like Jeremy Jordan, so it's always enjoyable to see him in a movie. So glad this one's
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah, it's on the cusp of food forward in terms of do you see a lot of food? It met the criteria for the diner locations because they were so prominent, but there's like very zero cooking that we actually see in those terms. But glad it's on the list. Glad to see it at number 4. Brian, that brings us to you with your number 3 pick, your last pick of this draft. I
Yep.
can't wait to see what you are going to offer up. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. What's it going to be?
All right, my last pick. Very excited that I get to call this one and add it to the list. It is Appetite for Love. Features all the great Bramblefest alums: Marcus, Andrew, Antonio. It has what I think is my favorite scene in a Hallmark movie that I've ever seen. And this is a movie I hadn't seen until I watched it for this draft. And I just was so glad. I was so excited about everything happening in this movie. I was so glad I got to see it. The scene in the pontoon boat with all the characters are sitting in the pontoon boat. You see them, you see the water in the background. They're drinking Coors Original, which was my go-to beer for the longest time. And then they pan the shot back. This is like next level editing, directing, whatever, filmmaking, cinema. They pan back and the pontoon boat is on the shoreline, just like up on blocks. They're not on the water at all. And then there's like a little bit of the little like bravado going on where I think Marcus is waiting. If somebody's tossing Marcus a beer and he tosses, I think it's Andrew, tosses it right past him over the edge of the boat on purpose. And it's just like that scene is very short. I watched it probably 7 times. I kept rewinding it. It was so fun. It's so different. Like it felt like it might have even been improvised where they're like, oh, there's a boat over here. Should we just do something real quick? And they just threw it together. And everything about it was so fun. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And it was so great to see. When we did Bremmelfest and this movie came up, I hadn't seen it. And so I couldn't appreciate, like, had I had seen this movie, I would have had us try to recreate that scene on stage because it just was it's that important to me now in my life. And the next time we're all together, which we will at some point, we'll get Marcus, Andrew, Antonio, all of us together. We'll recreate that scene. I'll just have to have Coors Originals nearby, like at all times. And so for that reason.
And your hair in a man bun. Just
That's
make
right.
it happen.
That's right. That's right.
Just
All
make
the
it
above.
happen. Why gild the lily without the man bun? That's great. I'm going to have to watch this again. I don't remember that scene, but I love this movie. Taylor Cole is in this. She's the female lead as Mina. You've already mentioned Marcus and Antonio and Andrew. It's a 2015 movie. Taylor's a corporate executive. She's sent to her hometown. It's one of those, I got to go to my hometown and convince a restaurant owner to sell his property, right? So that's basically what's happening in this film. And her world is turned upside down when the stubborn restaurant owner turns out to be her ex-boyfriend, Clay. That's Andrew. And he claims he is never going to sell. So he resists all of her negotiations every step of the way. And every step of the way, there are major sparks flying between those two leads. It's great. It's a great pick. I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but it actually didn't make the top 11 list of the Andrew Walker movies from the very first Hallmark Movie Drafts show back in 2022. And you can blame that on Dan, Emily, and Jillian, aka Lady Panda. Did not make it. I think he had 22 movies at that time that were eligible.
Panda move, even for a Lady Panda, just typical.
Typical Panda move. So Appetite for Love at 3. Jackie, you still have a veto. What do you think?
This is one that this morning dropped off the list at the last minute.
Brian's head is exploding.
It went from 10 to 11, Brian. So it's not, it was close. And part of it's because some of it's pretty over the top. That being said, I'm going to give it to you, Brian. I'm going to let you keep it. There's some charming moments like that. I think Marcus is great in this. However, dude, do not propose in the middle of a restaurant, of a diner that you're visiting and you haven't seen your girlfriend for weeks. And when you propose the other time, you proposed in a restaurant where she basically stonewall. Antonio made very attractive looking food out of everyday food. So he was fun. Like I said, I had it in my top 10. I dropped out. because I was like, I was playing back and forth, but I'm gonna keep it in here as much as I would love the point. I'm gonna keep it.
Jackie playing with her heart, not necessarily going cutthroat to win, giving
I got
Brian
to
a
worry
little
about
gift.
Cece in number one because
Yeah, absolutely. Cece's shaking her head like, yeah, you better be worried, girl. Cece, you still have a veto. What do you think? Appetite for Love? We're going to keep it?
So I think this movie is trash. It's on my list in this spot though, so we're gonna leave it because I assumed that other people in this draft would like this movie, which is unfortunate for their taste level. But I hate this movie. So it's just typical Hallmark. It's like very formulaic. The best thing about it is Antonio Caone and his like salad explosion. It's that like scene where he talks about the salad explosion that we always like come back to with Antonio. So for that reason, I assumed somebody would play it and put it on my list. I also looked at the past drafts involving Taylor Cole and Andrew and assume that somebody would play this. So I'm going to let it go because it's going to get me points, but it's garbage.
Brian, do you care? Do you care that she's calling it garbage? No, we
She's
don't
calling
care.
it garbage and leaving it at 3. Actions speak louder than words. Don't dare dive with CC on this one.
That is perfectly said. All right. So, Jackie, you're number 2. This is your final pick of the match. What are you going to play that's going to sit right above Appetite for Love?
do I replay and really piss somebody off? Do I bring in a new one?
You have to play your heart. Play your heart.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back with A Taste of Romance.
Jackie's going back in time to A Taste of Romance at number 2. That was the movie from 2012 with Terry Polo and James Patrick Stewart. So again, that's the 5-alarm grill with a hot fireman versus Chez Varienne, where Sarah's a chef and the whole food critic thing. So Jackie's playing that again. Jackie, you made a compelling case before, and the only person that can take this off the list is Cece. So I'm going to go right to Cece. Cece, are you going to let A Taste of Romance stay on the list at number 2, or are you going to use your veto?
This is a tough question for me because it's not on my list. But also, I know I'm going to be in another draft and I could use that veto. I'm just going to veto it. I've learned that just like use your vetoes when you want to use your vetoes. So I'm
That's
just going to
right.
veto it again for the second time in this draft and use up my vetoes because I have the number one pick. So the only pick left is mine and it might get vetoed, but I have 3 things on this list I think that haven't been played yet. So I'll just veto it again.
Okay, she's vetoing it again. So, Jackie, go ahead and think about what you want your number 2 for. I believe, Brian, I think we chatted about A Taste for Romance before with you, or did we not? Did you get a chance to say anything?
I think when I vetoed it, I forget now, but I believe it's just not that high on my list. So I just don't have a lot of
Yeah.
attachment to it, though I appreciate Jackie's attachment to it. And
Yeah, that's right.
I would never have vetoed this at 2. It obviously means so much to you. I can't believe CC would come in and just the wind beneath your wings, just pull it right out from under you.
You do have a veto override.
I do.
So you
Oh,
could
yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, I did fist pump when CC vetoed it, so I'm more on her side than Jackie's side.
Yeah, exactly. And for the listeners, if you're not keeping track, just keep in mind Cece was the one to veto this at number 6, so she vetoed it again at number 2. Jackie, lay it on us. What are you going to come back with? Are you going to come back with Dear Santa?
I'm very, very torn.
There's no more vetoes in this game.
I know. There's no more vetoes other than mine.
Other than yours, yeah.
Other than mine. Let's see. Trying to figure out I no way can I read Cece and what she's going to pick for number one. She's got me nervous here. I am going to pick one that I care to make sure is on the list. And
Okay.
we're gonna go back to A Pinch of Portugal.
All right, so you're going to pick up Cece's movie then. So A Pinch of Portugal is coming back onto the list. That was the one that Cece already played. We actually just discussed that at number 5. So yeah, there you go. A Pinch of Portugal is number 2. I'm going to do the state of the list, and then Cece can tell us what the number 1 movie is going to be because, well, Jackie does have a veto, so you never know what's going to happen. So at 10, we have The Mistletoe Secret. At 9, A Dash of Love. At 8, Summer Villa. At 7, The Love Club, Sydney's Journey. At 6, Christmas at the Golden Dragon. At 5, Savoring Paris. At 4, Hanukkah Unrai. At 3, Appetite for Love. At 2, A Pinch of Portugal. And at number 1, Cece is going to offer up what?
It's a real struggle. Like, I'm just gonna I don't know. I'm like, do I try to draw out Jackie's last veto, or do I just pick what was not at number 1 on my list, but is the closest next thing? So
She
I'm
is
gonna
ready to fire that veto.
Well,
She's been
we
waiting for
can,
this
but then
moment.
something much lower on my list is going to end up at number 1. I'm going to go with The Perfect Catch.
Ah, The Perfect Catch. Another Andrew Walker movie from 2017. He's Chase. Nikki DeLoche is Jessica. Jessica's a single parent of an 8-year-old son, Wesley. She's the owner of a struggling diner, and she finds inspiration she needs from her high school boyfriend, Chase, who's a professional baseball player, when he returns to town. Um, just a quick note, the child actor, Chance Hertzfield, brings a lot of personality and character to this film. He went on to join the recurring cast of A Million Little Things series that was 2018 to 2022 as Danny Dixon. This movie was number 8 in the Andrew Walker draft that Emily, Jillian, and Dan did that kicked off Hallmark Movie Drafts podcast. The Perfect Catch at number 1. Cece, tell us why.
So there's absolutely no way, if this wasn't Andrew Walker and Nikki DeLoche, that this would even be in the conversation, probably. And I don't really buy Andrew Walker as a Major League Baseball pitcher, but they both bring a lot of heart to the characters. I enjoyed watching the movie. I think the kid is great, and it had a lot of themes and stuff that I am into. I don't know that it was super food focused, but there definitely is like the whole side storyline of like her and this competing other restaurant that's closer to the highway and is getting more business, and that owner coming to her relaunch of her restaurant that's, I guess, makes it eligible for this draft. But a lot of it's about starting your life over and not being caught going from that situation where he's like a Major League Baseball player to like realizing your career's over as a player and going to a coaching position. But I enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all I really have to say.
All right, that's all she really has to say. Jackie, what do you have to say? Let it slide or veto?
Well, it did drop out of my top 10 because this was one I thought people might play because of the love for Andrew Walker. But I felt like it was a baseball movie and not a food movie. I'm looking at what's left on the list, figure out what she's got.
There's
And
a lot left on the list. There's at least 17 movies left on this
there are a lot,
for her to
yes, but
play.
there are a lot that are far worse than this one on the list. I messed up by playing A Pinch of Portugal because I thought it was Brian's pick before. That was my stupidity. But let's see here. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Are you going to make my life work? I am going to veto.
Jackie is going to veto The Perfect Catch at number 1. There are no more vetoes left in this game. I didn't think that that would happen. I thought for sure that somebody would be leaving with a veto. Nobody is. Brian will leave with a veto override. Cece,
Hey,
tell
he can
us.
still override my veto.
Oh, well, yeah, he could. Oh, Brian, do you want to override her veto?
No, this is the right move. I can't wait to see what CC plays next. One doesn't
Right?
even matter anymore as long as we got Appetite for Love on there. Yeah, that you gotta veto. You gotta veto and
Gotta
go for it.
veto it.
I'm not gonna override that.
I think what you meant was as long as we got the Love Club Sydney's Journey on there. That's what you meant to
Well, that goes,
say.
yeah, obviously,
Goes without saying,
obviously.
obviously, obviously. Okay, Cece, what's it going to be? Number one movie. Here she goes.
For one movie. As always, playing a movie that probably everyone disagrees with. The number one movie on this draft is going to be A Heavenly Christmas.
Heavenly Christmas. You should see the expressions. Brian smiling. I'm giving fist pumps in this. Listeners, this movie is a ride. It's 2016. Believe it or not, this is a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie. It stars Kristen Davis as Eve. Eric McCormack is Max. He even sings in this movie. An Academy Award winner, Shirley MacLaine, is in this movie. I don't know how that happened, but she's in it. The storyline is that upon her untimely death, a workaholic finds herself in training to be a Christmas angel in heaven. That's Kristen Davis. And despite being the worst recruit in the history of Christmas, she's assigned a hard luck case, and that's basically Eric McCormack. She's forced to help solve his problems. She'll start to discover the meaning of Christmas and maybe even fall in love along the way. And Shirley MacLaine plays her experienced angel guide in this process. Cece, tell us why you played A Heavenly Christmas at number one. I can't stop smiling.
This is a movie I had watched on multiple occasions before this draft was announced. I do really like this movie. I'm not a big fan of like the spiritual or religious Hallmark movies, but I feel like this one does a really good job of walking the line between being like overly religious, like some of the CCB movies of old, and being just kind of like, okay, she's not fully dead. She's just in a coma. She can come out of that. It's not crazy. It's like Christmas in Angel Falls, but like elevated, where you've got this person who's about to become an angel, but then they get to stay and be a human, but they're going to forget everything, unlike in Angel Falls. I really love Kristen Davis because I don't think I'm like a new school Sex and the City, like the new version, but I am an old school Sex and the City fan. And her character, Charlotte, is like the one I definitely like felt the most involved with, relatable with on that show. So I loved her casting. I love Eric McCormack. I think he's an amazing actor. I'm a big fan of Will and Grace. He was in a Bare Naked Ladies video. If you know me, and I'm been to see Bare Naked Ladies over like 75 times in concert, I feel like he's a kindred spirit. I like the whole diner vibe. I'm not a big fan of the whole like we're like grandparents and like we can give her a better life down in Florida because it's Florida or whatever. But I do like that the kid kind of like realized she might be an angel halfway through. I don't know. I just feel like this movie always gives me good vibes, gives me good feels. Shirley MacLaine is an American treasure. I love her even in the smallest doses. I loved her character like being like with the whip whenever Kristen Davis got out of line and like, you're having too many feelings for this guy. Like, step back, you're not allowed. I just love this movie. It was not this high on my list. I didn't really honestly think it was going to be on anybody else's list because it's so old and it's like a spiritual movie. And for a lot of reasons, I think I told Lynn before the draft started, like, I don't know if I should leave this on my list, but I left it because I love it. And this morning I spoiled the entire plot of the movie to Matt, trying to get insight for whether or not I should leave it on this list. But anyway, I love this movie and I watch it every year. And there's a reason it's a Hallmark Hall of Fame, guys. Hello. That's
Cece, once again, living up to her reputation of if she has the number one pick, she's going to pick an outlier. And I love that you picked this movie. It is the most unexpected Hall of Fame movie from Hallmark. Shirley MacLaine is a national treasure. I love Shirley MacLaine movies, like going back to like the 50s and 60s with her pixie haircut and her comedy chops. She's really awesome. But in this movie, her line delivery is so flat that she is acting almost like someone has a gun to her head and making her speak these lines. That's the only downfall in this movie.
I like to
Eric-
imagine Bill Abbott with a gun to her head.
Yeah, just like say the line and just let's get through this. So, also Eric McCormick singing in this movie. I am working on putting together a Don't Make Me Sing draft where the Hall stars in the movie actually sing in the movie. So, anybody wants to be in that one, hit me up. Coming to you in 2026. I cannot wait to hear what Jackie has to say about this. So, Jackie, take it away. What are your thoughts?
This was in my top 10 at one point in time. I pulled it out because I just didn't feel like there was food. This diner was so non-existent. Like they come in there, and I think the only purpose of the diner is it's a way that she can be seen in her angel format by him, at least from a meeting place. I think the only thing I maybe enjoyed that I thought was really funny was when you have Shirley MacLaine knocking snow off the roof when they're trying to kiss. But I just didn't, it didn't make my list because it really did not talk about food at all. It talked about taking this kid out of New York, bringing him back to Florida just because he's too busy. So you had the evil grandparents. So there were many things. And yeah, Shirley MacLaine was not the Shirley MacLaine that we know and love. I thought Kristen Davis, who I love in Sex and the City, old, have never watched the new, don't want to spoil the old with the new, was probably not the Kristen Davis I love. But it touched my heart, but it was not a food movie, so it did not make my list.
Jackie once again declaring herself the only person on the panel with a heart. Living up to Brian's comments at the beginning of the show. Brian, final say, what do you think of this movie at number one?
I like this pick. It's not my number one, but I feel like it's an honorable nod to a good movie, a Hall of Fame movie. It feels like sort of like a little wink, wink, we got you. We'll toss you up at number one. Good job. I agree. Not a lot of food in the movie. So for a food draft, the number one movie being something that, it's just like diner vibes, which were very nice. Not a lot of food preparation or eating or seeking out food or anything like that. But I think I feel fine about this pick. There's so many other movies on the list I'm happy about. There's so many movies not on this list that I would love to cram right in there. But yeah, I think pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's not a lot of food on this list. You guys, you did such a great job. Before I read the list for a final time, before we get to your personal list, Erin Beth, once again, I always forget about the side hustle and talking about that. But let's quickly share our personal top 10 lists ranked, and you can tell us how you and I scored against it. And then we'll get to the panelists ones, and you can tell us who ultimately wins after they tell us their scores. So what was your personal top 10?
All right, my personal top 10 started with Appetite for Love at number 10, 9, Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, 8, A Pinch of Portugal, 7, Curious Caterer, Fatal Vows, 6, South Beach Love, 5, Moonlight in Vermont, 4, Christmas at the Golden Dragon, 3, Hanukkah and Rye, 2, Summer Villa, and 1, Savoring Paris. I really tried to make them all food. These were the ones that were food heavy. And I can't believe Heavenly Christmas is number one. Not because it's a bad movie. It just, I
Lack of
actually
food?
don't blame you. Cece's taking credit for it, but I don't blame her. I blame Jackie for playing Pinch of Portugal at 2.
I totally messed up. I really thought it was Brian.
That is
was
who I
big.
blame
And
for
I
having
betcha
Heavenly
it
Christmas
caused me to
at 1.
lose the game too.
So how many points did you get?
I scored very, very poorly this time. I had 6 points, 0 placed in the final ranking.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how I did because I don't keep score. I'm just going to read them off. At 10, A Recipe for Love. At 9, A Dash of Love. At 8, Summer Villa. At 7, Appetite for Love. At 6, I'm surprised this movie didn't get paid. We're not going to talk about it, but Welcome to Mama's. Guys, talk about food forward. There's a movie. At 5, Christmas at the Golden Dragon. At 4, Hanukkah on Rye. At 3, The Mistletoe Secret. At 2, Moonlight in Vermont, another food forward movie, Carlo Marx, and at 1, Savoring Paris. How did I do? And I did have A Heavenly Christmas at number 10 originally on my list, but I had moved it off. Ditto A Pinch of Portugal. Jackie, I don't feel bad about A Pinch of Portugal, even though it didn't make my list. How many points did I get? Did I finally win?
Yes, you scored a total of 10 points. You had 7
Oh,
movies, but 3 of them placed in the correct ranking spot. Good job.
thank you. All right, let's hear the personal top 10 list from the drafters, and then Erin Beth can tell us who officially won. See, let's start with you. What was your personal top 10?
Okay. I just want to say that this is my top 10 for this draft, not the top 10 in my heart. But what I submitted was number 10, The Mistletoe Secret. Number 9, Hanukkah on Rye. Number 8, A Heavenly Christmas. Number 7, A Pinch of Portugal. Number 6, Christmas at the Golden Dragon. Number 5, The Love Club Sydney. Number 4, The Perfect Catch. Number 3, Appetite for Love. Number 2, Summer Villa. And number 1, Savoring Paris.
Wow, that's a great list. I think everything that you mentioned are movies that we've actually talked about. Is that right,
Yeah.
or am I wrong?
I got 9 out of 10 on the list and 3 in their spots.
Oh,
Rank
very
them.
good. Okay, Brian, how'd you do? Tell us your
Let's
list.
Well, my number 10 is The Love Club, Sydney's journey there. 9, Dash of Love. 8, Curious Caterer, Fatal Vows. Very bummed that didn't make the list overall. 7, Summer Villa. 6, Welcome to Mama's. 5, Golden Dragon. 4, Hanukkah on Rye. 3, Always Amore, which surprised me. I was shocked that I liked it so much upon rewatch and just didn't know what to do with it. I should have played it at some point. I really enjoyed it. 2, Appetite for Love. 1, Savoring Paris.
I think you did the right thing with Always Amore.
Thank you.
Good
Though I did the
call.
wrong thing with some other movies that aren't even on my list, so I don't know.
We're going to see how you do when Erin Beth announces the score. Jackie, what was your top 10 list, your personal list?
I went very food forward. That was that was my thought process. Thus the reason for moving Appetite for Love down to 11 and putting Moonlight in Vermont at 10, a dash of love at 9, Christmas at the Golden Dragon at 8, Welcome to Mama's, which is the one I was teetering on with a pinch of Portugal, stupid me.
Oh,
Dear Santa at number 6, A Taste of Romance at 5, Hanukkah on Rye at 4, A Pinch of Portugal at 3, Savoring Paris at number 2, and at number 1, Summer Villa. And I didn't veto that early on because I really didn't think it was Cece's kind of movie. So I was just like, I don't think I want to play chance losing that one.
well, let's see how you made out. So,
Not
Erin,
well.
Erin Beth, our official scorekeeper, what happened?
Well, Jackie alluded to it right there, but she did come in third. She had 6 movies on the list. She placed 2 in the final ranked position for a total of 8 points. Ryan had 7 movies on the list, put 2 in correct positions for a total of 9 points. And Cece already mentioned she had 9 out of the 10 movies on her list, 3 of them in the correct spots for a total of 12 points.
You guys, that was a great match. You all did beautifully. Those are good scores. Thank you all for doing this. This was such a blast. I know how much time it takes to watch the movies and then go through the drafting shenanigans. Listeners, be sure to follow Hallmark Movie Drafts wherever you get your pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, really everywhere. Please subscribe to our new YouTube channel. Coming up in November, oh my God, it's the Allison Sweeney draft. Erin Beth, you're on the panel for that one. Jenna and her love of bumpets is returning. And honestly, if she's not wearing a bumpet for that draft, that's like the female equivalent of a man bun, I think. I'm going to be really disappointed. And first-time drafter Danielle will be joining the show. And I'm really excited to have my friend Alicia Lomez Gross as my co-host for this show. She's such a talented writer. She's fascinating to talk with. That girl's got some serious stories. Check out her Hallmark movie from 2022, Perfect Harmony. So, once more, for the final time, here's the definitive list of the 10 best food-forward Hallmark movies as drafted by Cece, Brian, and Jackie. Here we go. At 10, The Mistletoe Secret. At 9, A Dash of Love. At 8, Summer Villa. At 7, The Love Club, Sydney's Journey. At 6, Christmas at the Golden Dragon. At 5, Savoring Paris. At 4, Hanukkah on Rye. At 3, Appetite for Love. At 2, A Pinch of Portugal. And at number 1, a movie with barely any food in it. We love it anyway. A Heavenly Christmas. Great job, everybody. Let's all say bye.
I have one more thing to say.
Oh, okay.
Wine is food. Wine is food. This came up a lot in our pre-conversations, me and Lynn. Wine is food.
That's
It's got
another
grapes.
draft.
It's just grapes. It's grapes in a bottle. Grapes.
No. That's a separate draft. Don't worry. It'll be coming up. You and Kate can be on the panel because she's a big wine head too. All right. Let's all say bye for real. Bye.
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 Heavenly Christmas. Yay. Hallmark Movie Drafts is a monthly production. Stephanie Prichelle creates the movie synopses using descriptions from IMDb or Hallmark.com as a base. Kate Baca vets the list of eligible movies and manages our Letterboxd account called Hallmark Drafts, where you'll find the list of eligible movies for each show, as well as the final top 10 lists and the panelists who drafted them. Erin Beth Cermak creates the Where to Watch lists and the Trivia Round questions, and along with Stephanie and Kate, provides additional creative, research, and hosting support. I'm Lynn Austin. I'm the showrunner, producer, and host. I staff the panels, create the show topics, manage the production schedule and the HMD socials, and edit and publish the podcast. Intro and outro music is provided courtesy of Amato Zapana. Thank you to the Deck the Hallmark Double-Deckers who share their passionate opinions on these Hallmark movies that we love, or maybe not love, so much.